Co-op has become quite common in a lot of Ubisoft's single-player games. Some of their series have had it for years, like Far Cry, Ghost Recon, or The Division, but strangely enough, their most popular IP, Assassin's Creed, has had co-op in only one of the games, Assassin's Creed Unity, and 9 years later, none of the games have featured it since. There is obviously a good reason for this. Unity had plenty of issues on its launch, a lot of which stemmed from co-op, and so it was clear for future titles they wanted to focus on the single-player element, which is of course of most importance. I would never want a game to focus on bringing co-op if it means sacrificing the quality of the single-player experience, but on the other hand, co-op can bring so much to a game. Games that have functioning co-op typically have way more replay value, give more incentive to buy the game for a lot of people who want to play with friends, and it helps with the overall longevity of the game. While Unity's co-op mode is far from perfect, I've still had some of the most fun in that mode that I've had in any Assassin's Creed game. Being able to coordinate in stealth with some friends or mess around with randoms, it's a good time. So while I totally understand and even respect why the games since have chosen to pass on a co-op experience, I personally would still really like to see it return someday. But obviously if it does, it can't come at the cost of the overall experience like it kind of did for Unity at launch, and the mode would need to be polished. Unity's co-op still has quite a few issues to this day, whether it's connection issues or bugs. For some people the mode just doesn't even work. Like I said, far from perfect, but so much fun when it works. Co-op Assassin's Creed has so much potential, and if it's already as fun as it is in Unity, imagine what it could be like in a game that puts some more polish and attention onto the mode. Maybe even allow the main story to be played in co-op and allow for some more customization options. I know some people didn't like how in Unity everyone plays as Arno, as it may be a little immersion breaking with 4 Arnos running around Paris, but in Unity you can only play specific missions that were designed for co-op, so there is kind of a limit on just how much you can do. But allowing players to experience the main story in a co-op experience would exponentially increase the content of the mode. Now, obviously I'm not a game developer, but I don't think that's something that's impossible to pull off. Again, Far Cry, another Ubisoft series, has been doing it for years, although perhaps it would be more difficult to have co-op in the RPG creeds since they're a lot bigger in scale. I'm not really sure, but I do feel like co-op in Assassin's Creed has too much potential for it to never be attempted again. But I suppose the question is then, when and how would it return? So obviously co-op won't be in AC Mirage. I highly doubt it would be in Codename Red, although there are rumors about Red being a dual protagonist game, so there's a chance that there could be some co-op where you play as one character and a friend of yours as another. I still kind of doubt that, but you never know. I think it would be really cool to have co-op return in Codename Red, but time will tell. Maybe co-op returns in Codename Hexy, but I actually think the most likely stage for it to return on is Project Infinity. We already know there's a multiplayer game called Invictus being developed for Infinity. We still don't really know much about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's more PvP focused, like the old multiplayer modes we had in Assassin's Creed in the past. Point is, it's not going to be a true co-op experience. However, that doesn't mean Infinity can't eventually bring a co-op experience of some kind. Maybe like a special mode or adding it to an already existing game. I feel that's well within the realm of possibility with how they've described Infinity and the kind of content they want to bring to it. Maybe they could even construct a smaller game that's built from the ground up for co-op and release it on Infinity. There's a lot of ways they could go about bringing co-op back in this series, and a lot of people's concern is, well, should they even bother after what happened with Unity? I've said it plenty of times before, but Unity was an incredibly ambitious game, even without co-op, but co-op brought this whole other dimension to it, and maybe that harmed the game's overall state on release. I really enjoy co-op, and I think as long as it's not harming the single player experience, then they absolutely should should bring it back. For those who don't care for co-op and only want to play single player, that's totally fine. It should be, if that's how you want to play, you can, and the mode won't interfere with that experience. If that's how it is, I don't see why anyone would have much issue with bringing it back. Now, I would be a little worried about Ubisoft monetizing the daylights out of the mode, but that's an entirely different discussion. But again, at the end of the day, I just feel like co-op in AC has too much potential to just neglect it for the foreseeable future. At the same time though, I can understand why the studios may have some reservations about implementing a massive mode like this once again. But as always, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Should Assassin's Creed bring co-op back? And if so, in what future project do you think it's likely to return in? As always, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new. And other than that, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day, Assassins.